And we begin with the 2016 presidential race and the unusual efforts of Republican leaders to prevent any possible third-party bid that could make it nearly impossible for the GOP to take back the White House. Welcome back to Happening Now. I'm Patty Ann Brown in for Jenna Lee.
And I'm Gregg, Jarrett in for John Scott. We're awaiting now a news conference from frontrunner Donald Trump. He's meeting today with the chairman of the RNC to talk about signing that pledge not to run as an independent. But this isn't just about Trump. The RNC is asking all 17 candidates to get on board with this. Several already have done so and said they would. Chris Christie even signed his today right here on Fox News.
I don't need Reince Priebus to come and meet with me before deciding whether to do this or not. So there you go. September 3rd, 15, I'm in.
I signed a pledge when I ran for the U.S. Senate, and I do believe you have to support the nominee. I do have some sympathy for third parties, frankly, because sometimes the main two parties don't do a very good job, and third parties do provide pressure on the two parties to be better, actually.
We need to be unified. We need to win. And I think Mr. Trump ought to figure out a way to lessen the divisive language, the hurtful language, and talk about the aspirations of the American people rather than trying to prey on their fears.
Chris Wallace joins us, anchor of Fox News Sunday, and recently, I noted, was named Alumni of the Month by the Hotchkiss School. It was a very flattering profile.
That's going to mean a lot to people.
You know, you were talking about Mother Teresa and the whole thing. I was very touched by that whole thing. But at any rate, let me move on, because you were one of the distinguished moderators at the August 6th first GOP debate. And, of course, famously, Donald Trump raised his hand to a smattering of boos and wouldn't commit. Maybe he's changed his mind now, which invites the question, what's changed in the months since then?
Well, you know, it is so interesting, this whole thing about signing pledges, and I don't know that I've ever seen it before during a Republican or Democratic race, is all about Donald Trump, because nobody has any doubts that Jeb Bush and Scott Walker and all the other candidates are going to support the nominee of the party and won't run as third-party candidates. The only question is Donald Trump, and that's why this whole event is happening today. And you have the chairman of the Republican Party, Reince Priebus, coming up to New York, taking the shuttle up to meet at the Trump Towers with Mr. Trump. And afterwards, they're going to have a news conference together. I think, and in fact, there have been published reports today that Trump will sign the pledge, will say that he's going to support the Republican nominee and won't run as a third-party candidate. You say what's changed since just less than a month ago on August on that debate stage in Cleveland. I think a couple of things. First of all, Trump continues to be the front runner, so why not say I'm going to support the nominee when it looks more and more likely like he may just be that nominee? Secondly, he knows that this is going to be an issue as the campaign goes on, and, you know, you're going to have a debate on CNN in less than 2 weeks, right, and that they will be bringing up that issue. They'll be asked again, are you going to take the pledge? So this way he eliminates that. And third, and perhaps most important, an increasing number of states were going to put what they call sore loser pledges on their ballot and say you can't run in the Republican primary unless you pledge that you will support the eventual nominee of the party. And states like North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, if Donald Trump is really serious about trying to get the Republican nomination, he's got to be in the ballot in those 3 states.
Well, Republicans well remember what happened back in 1992 when Ross Perot ran as an independent and ran pretty well, and in fact so well that he sucked away enough Republican votes to hand the election to Bill Clinton. So, you know, Chris, committing to not run as an independent, if they do get that commitment from Trump, is no small accomplishment for the RNC, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no question that, let's say, one of the other more conventional politicians wins the Republican nomination, goes up against somebody like Hillary Clinton, and Trump runs as a third-party candidate. I think it is more likely than not that he would keep the Republican from winning the presidency and give it to Clinton or whoever the Democrat is. So getting him to say that he's not going to go into this race as a third-party candidate. Taking that off the table is a huge accomplishment, and that's the reason that you see Reince Priebus, the chairman of the Republican Party, making such an effort, because this is really important come next November.
Yeah. You know, you and I were talking about just a moment ago the polls. I was looking at the ABC Washington Post poll that just came out. Trump has increased his lead to 30%. It's up 4 points. I think that was the ABC Washington Post poll. Now I can't remember. But at any rate, most national polls are showing that, right?
Yeah. No. He's absolutely leading not only in national polls and Real Clear Politics, which takes an average of all of the recent polls and puts it together so you don't get an outlier in there. He's got a sizable lead on the field in the national polls. He's got a sizable lead in Iowa, although there was one poll that showed him and Ben Carson tied. He's leading in New Hampshire, and he's got a big lead in South Carolina. So he's the front runner for the nomination. There's no two ways about it. Which is why it is so important that he will respect whoever the Republicans pick.
Right.